The Arab world is a lot more than what meets the eye. It is a place of many beauties and landscapes that captivate the entire world. It has many traditional cultures and values that people hold dear. It is driven by passion that has come from much hardship over the past decade. It is magnificent with not only its sights but the long-held traditions it holds sacred. It is a place of inspiration and uniqueness. It has many different popular cultures that stem from many different countries. It is a place driven by not only religion, but rank and social status, due to what Stuart Hall refers as to the power block. These three factors have a direct influence on what is assumed to be popular culture rather than the dominant culture today. In this video, we will discuss the sacred act of marriage and by how popular culture has influenced or steered this in a certain direction. Marriage in all Arab countries is viewed as one of the most significant milestones in life and has therefore been a main theme in modern-day traditions. It varies from religion to religion and country to country in the Arab Peninsula. Essentially, it is driven by the power block created in the country's society, whether it be religious status or judicial systems, or simply the influence of the Western culture. Lebanon, Tunisia, and Saudi Arabia will be examined in today's video. Lebanon is well known for its class and flair in weddings, which has its similarities and differences from one religious identity to another. Tunisia has its popular traditions, which are directly influenced by the Western culture, and Saudi Arabia, on the other hand, is influenced by its religious figure and religious legislative system. These three countries will be explored, and the three different traditions and cultures that have emerged in popular culture will be contrasted.
Many of the religious Muslim areas of Lebanon, such as the Dahi or the south of Lebanon, many people will see music during a wedding as wrong. Whereas in the main city of Beirut and within the Christian community, music is seen as something that brings celebration and happiness. Before getting to the hall or the church where the wedding will take place, there is separate parties within the groom's home and within the bride's home that is done by the families themselves in order to get everyone ready for the bigger party in the evening. In most Lebanese weddings, there's something called a zafeh. It consists of a group of men and women who are dressed alike in traditional clothing and dancing the traditional dance of dakeh. There's also a lot of drums and flutes being played throughout. The zafeh happens before, during, and after the entrance of the bride and groom. It's a source of entertainment at the beginning of the wedding that is only there to bring the bride and the groom into the hall. In more religious ceremonies, the weddings are separate and it's done completely differently. In modern Lebanon, where there are zafeh groups of just females who still give the bride the entrance of her dreams with more religiously accepted music. This is done because the woman decides to have an all-woman where she gets to take her hijab off and only have the woman present there, where her husband brings her in and the zafeh as well. There's an expression of happiness called the zalghuta that is done by the women. It is a high-pitched cry that is traditionally done at weddings. Other Lebanese traditions include cutting the cake with a sword instead of an actual cake knife. There's no reason as to why this is done, but it has widespread exponentially. The most typical tradition is the amount of food present. Not only is it a 3-course meal, but even before the meal, there is plates and plates of appetizers and nuts and snacks before the actual meal. There's also tables and tables filled with sweets for the guests and a lot of leftovers. When it comes to more religious weddings, the main experience is the same. The only difference is that it is in a place where only females are present with only female guests. This kind of wedding is common in the Dahi, where the women wear more traditional hijabs and are not comfortable being in the public eye in a wedding dress. This kind of wedding also gives a place where she can take her hijab off and feel like the bride she wants to be. In Lebanon, there's not a specific kind of dress that needs to be worn during the wedding, but instead it is left up to the bride to choose whatever dress she is most attracted to. There's a lot of influence from outside influences such as mothers and mother-in-laws when picking the dress, but the final choice is the bride's.
We'll be talking about Tunisia. Tunisia is best known for its music. The music in Tunisia was adopted from the time of the Andalus. Tunisia is best known for the mlouf. For many of us hearing mlouf for the very first time, not really knowing what it stands for. However, the roots of the music falls back to both the Spanish and Portuguese music. It was imported into Tunisia when Spain immigrated in the 15th century. When an orchestra is playing, there is something called a nuba. A nuba is one of the most important parts in the mlouf. It is described to be the two movements that are made into one single mode. Each of these nubas lasts about an hour, and many different instruments play at the very same time into a traditional sequence. The rhythms are normally simple and go from slower to faster rhythms. As for today, when a special ceremony, marriage, or private party happens, Tunisians still perform this traditional mlouf music. Dress in Tunisia is very unique. As we all might know, the West has influenced the way Arabs dress. However, Tunisians are very fond of their traditional dress. Seeing men and women wearing it in the streets has become less and less over the past few years. On the other hand, every occasion, whether a wedding, a religious event, or a ceremony, they would wear their traditional dress. The jiba is a dress made out of both silk and wool. It is mostly worn by men today. The jiba covers the whole body, excluding the forearms and the calves. The dress can be worn with a vest or without. The vest is called a farmla. Men sometimes wear a trouser or surwal underneath their dress. Next is the burnous. The burnous is also another traditional Tunisian dress. We have seen men wear it all over the Arab world, however, mostly in Tunisia. You see Tunisians wearing it on top of their jiba as if a poncho. Traditional dress for women is a two-piece dress called a blousa and a futa. They are two pieces made out of the same outfit and the same material. They are made out of both cotton and silk. It is covered throughout with crystal beads and rhinestones. The top, blousa, is a close-fitted top that outlines the upper body very nicely. The bottom is called a futa. It is wrapped from the waist to the ankles. This dress is mostly worn at weddings today. Even the brides at times choose to wear this traditional dress rather than a white dress. Next, Tunisians are known for their shoes, the kontra and the baljaha. Both men and women wear these shoes, however, we normally see men wearing them more than women. They're made out of leather, they are closed and pointy at the front and open at the back. They're made into many different styles and many different colors. They are loved even by the tourists that visit the country. Traditions in Tunisia mostly depend on where the bride and groom come from. The northern part of Tunisia have adopted the traditions of the West. The bride wears a white gown that is bedazzled and very beautiful, with a crown, and they go all out. Like the West, men also wear the black suits on their wedding nights. However, when looking at a wedding from the southern part of Tunisia, they still follow their traditions. The males wear a jiba, that the traditional dress that was described in the previous videos, but would be more decorated and more fancy, you can say, as the other men that are actually attending the wedding, or the jiba that is worn at different ceremonies. The man on his wedding night wears a jiba that has so many crystals, and the way it is made is just so much more elegant and more beautiful. Women during their wedding night in the southern part wear white. However, it is a blousa and the futa, the two-piece traditional dress. Whether from the south or from the north, both garments from the male and female are worked on very hard and are made perfect for the wedding. Marriage in Tunisia basically represents a female and a male getting married from the same religion. However, Muslim men have the ability to actually marry women outside of their religion while women do not. Normally, the groom's mother, that is, would actually go around looking for brides for their sons. They would find a suitable bride. They would bring their son to the bride's family's house for the first meeting. And after the first meeting, the groom and the bride would sit, have a conversation, talk about a few things. Then, whether they like each other or they don't, the bride's family normally replies to the groom's family with a yes or no answer. The man must come from the same religion and not be socially or economically beneath the woman. They typically get married at the age of 25 for both men and female. As many Arab countries, Muslim women can only marry Muslim men, as stated by the law and religion. No mufti or court will let a Muslim woman marry a non-Muslim man, as known in Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and many other Arab countries. Women that are Muslim that want to marry outside of their religion normally run away to Cyprus and actually have a wedding there and a ceremony there, as it is allowed. However, men are able, as said before, men are able to marry a woman outside of their religion, either Christian or Jewish. On August 15, 2017, the president of Tunisia stood up to this law and said he is going to change it.
Next, we will discuss one of the superpowers in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's legal system is defined by Sharia law. Sharia law is based on Islamic beliefs, in other words, the Quran and Islamic Sunnah, which are the traditions of the Prophet. Family law, more specifically marriage, falls under Sharia law governance, therefore influencing traditions and popular culture stigmas. For example, polygamy is only legal for men. All this said, many traditions known to the general culture for weddings have stemmed out. I will discuss how music and dance, food, and wedding traditions have been shaped by the country's Islamic legal system. First off, I would like to touch on popular beliefs, arranged marriages. Marital union in this Islamic superpower is extensively driven by arranged marriage for rank or family unions. According to Hulma Hotfar, a bride and groom together with their families negotiate agreements that better enhance their position and bargaining power within the marriage via emotional, social, and economic factors. This is not the case in Saudi's traditional marriages. Usually the groom is pre-decided for the bride, and as depicted by popular culture, the woman has no right to a decision, but rather the decision falls on her male family members. After the two families agree to a marriage, the wedding must be acknowledged by religion. They proceed to hold a milka, or better known as nikah, where the couple, in front of a Muslim sheikh and 3 witnesses, sign their marriage license and decide on a dowry for the woman. Now, the wedding is ready to be planned and begin. In a traditional Saudi Arabian wedding, the men and women first have separate parties, then in some cases, the family members from both genders come together and celebrate the couple's union. A Saudi celebration always keeps in mind the respects of gender approbations. Mixed weddings seen in the Western world is not a common ritual practiced by these individuals due to religious reasons. Respectively, both the bride and the groom celebrate their wedding with music and dance. There has been much controversy over music and dance, as many types of these have been considered forbidden in Islam. As popular culture has developed, it shaped the traditions of the country. Given old traditions of folklore rituals, Saudi Arabian men have the tradition to perform a dance routine called the arda. The arda is a performance with swordsmen and drummers to express the love of their country by singing poems expressing nationalism. Men demonstrate masculine movements to share fearlessness and common joy and make use of a shallow drum called the tabla to create rhythm. Women, on the other hand, have a party of their own with their own take on, again, national music. The women belly dance and do head movements, enhancing their long hair underneath the hijab. Though men and women are segregated during their weddings, both are loyal to their culture and religious practices by seeing the importance in patriotism. Attire will be discussed next. What is clearly depicted in popular culture is the bride's outfit. The bride is prepared through many henna tattoos, usually covering the hand, arms, and legs. The women wear traditional dresses called zaboon and yahmak, which are lined with silver and gold. The dress is often a traditional white, but in some cases they can be bright, flashy colors. Of course, the headscarf known as the hijab is worn and is usually the same color as the dress and also covered in silver or gold lining. On the other hand, the groom wears a traditional long garment known as a abaya with headgear and square scarf over the head. This is considered to be lavish and formal in the Middle Eastern superpower. Finally, as for food, traditional Saudi meals are served such as the kebsa, as well as a full sheep, since in Islam, a celebrational meal is beheading a sheep and gathering to eat it. All in all, Saudi Arabians are strongly tied to their culture and religion and are far from being assimilated to the Western practices.